This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Welcome to
How's That Working For You?
where
We spill the tea about relationships, millennial adulting, or whatever else life decides to chuck at us.
Well, welcome to our season finale.
and today we're talking about Kat, all about that beautiful person who's my excellent co-host, or what I would like to call the main host of the show.
No. You are like 75% of this podcast.
We're not talking about me today. We're talking about you, Kat.
Fine. We'll talk about me. But we will return to you in our next episode. So, yes, we'll talk about me. Well, I didn't tease, but I talked a little bit about the fact that I have a lot of projects going on in my life in the past few episodes. So I think now would be a good time to kind of reveal or talk about it, right? Yeah. So I actually, this past year, I have been working on growing my platform again on Instagram. While I didn't see a whole lot of success in that area, one thing led to another, and then I finally decided to invest in a business life coach. Her name is Janice. Maybe we'll link her at some point. I don't know.
I mean, she'll be linked in the description of this. Yeah.
So I'm actually like one of her main proteges right now. She's doing a group coaching, and then she's taking on 4 proteges. I'm one of them, and it really was eye-opening to me to have somebody professional remind me that I can accomplish my dreams. So that was a big thing. That was a big thing for me. And while these seen me almost give up on all my dreams. I mean, not all of them, but she's seen me. A lot. But I'm not anymore. So that's the important part. But I almost did, and that was kind of a scary thing to realize this year. Especially, I think a big part of it was when you're trapped at home for so long, you just kind of remember all those things. And I was really sad when I realized that, wow, was I going to settle with a 9-to-5 for the rest of my life? I don't know. I think it works for a lot of people, but would it work for me? So I decided that while a 9-to-5 is what I need to do right now, I'd like to grow my own brand. So that's what I've been doing and working with Janice. And I just bought a domain for my website. It's kittycatdang.com, which is also my Instagram handle, kittycatdang. And my Twitter handle, which I haven't started using as much, but I will. So buying that domain and opening up the email box for it was this really kind of very setting moment for me, where I just realized that there's no turning back. That was a big moment for me. And while it's not up yet, I just bought the domain for it. The website's not up. You guys can expect that it will be up in the next few months. But in terms of my brand, I will be starting a podcast.
Another podcast outside of this one. Another this will still exist. Hopefully there'll be I'll have my podcast, and then in the off season we'll have this podcast. So it'll be interchanging.
There'll always be Kat available for you. Oh my God, stop. No, because maybe in the future this might move into more of a V thing. Who knows? Because I really want her, and we'll talk about it later. We need to focus back. Okay. Anyway, back to my brand. Yes, I'm starting that podcast. It's going to be called The Highs and Lowdown with Kat Dang, or I'm still working on it. Bear with me, but it works because I have bipolar disorder, and it's basically going to be this ongoing conversation that I'll invite guests to talk about the workings and the daily life, or just in general about mental health and the stigmas related to it. Maybe we'll be talking about disorders and the life that happens. One of the things that I'll be talking about with Janice is she
she's very open about her battle with anorexia. And while I haven't talked as much about my battle with bulimia, it's a thing that kind of overlaps, and we'll be talking about things like that. So it's not just hopefully one day I'll be able to contact professionals and things like that. But right now, since I'm just starting, it'll be more of a research driven project, and people who are talking about their really real and raw stories of mental illness. And that's something that I've been doing a lot about for myself on my Instagram. If you look at my posts, I talk very, very openly about my struggle with bipolar disorder mainly, and anxiety. I have a lot of that.
Just a lot of it.
Yeah, a lot. A lot of anxiety. But, you know, I think it's endearing in many ways. It's just important to really talk about the realness of it, because there are a lot of people who feel like they need to hide, or feel like they just don't want to get help because there's so much of a stigma attached to it. Like, oh, you have to take medications, like, weirdo, like, what, are you crazy? Like, that's a thing that people still say, and that's not okay, in my opinion. Because if you had diabetes and you didn't take your medications, you would die. So why is it any different when there are people, like, for me, if I didn't take my medications, I like, don't freak out or anything when you hear this, but I might be dead in a ditch if I didn't start taking medications and practicing yoga and doing all the self-care that I do. And I know that a lot of people did end up, like, we've lost a lot of really talented people. One big name, Robin Williams, he had bipolar disorder, and he was such an incredible human being, very compassionate, very funny, just an amazing entertainer. And he didn't survive his battle with bipolar disorder, and that's just really, really sad to me. And I don't know, like, I don't know if that would have been if it would have changed if we were more open about the topic, but I know that whatever was going on, like, whatever is going on right now on the topic of mental health, it's not quite enough, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's just, we're getting there very, very slowly, but it's not enough yet, because a lot of the world's most talented people have some sort of quirk that can be considered a psychological, like, thing. And a lot of, like, especially a lot of artists, they deal with depression and all that stuff like that, but a lot of them don't talk about it. There's some people that do, but a lot of them don't talk about it because of the stigma that's attached to it. And we really live in a society, especially on Instagram, where or social media in general, where we want to promote our best selves, right? So it's very perfection driven, and we want to look great. We want everyone to think that we're living our best lives. Whereas, yes, we may be living our best lives. However, I'm a very messy person, you know? While I do seem like this very, very bubbly and confident person online, which I'm still working towards achieving more of that in my own personal life, I have my down days, and I think it's like, and I talk about them on my page, because it's important to know that when there's really, really high ups, there can be really, really low downs, right? So that's kind of the reason for why I decided that this is an important topic that needs to be talked about. And whether it gets big or not is not an issue, because I want it to be a thing either way. So hopefully, with the magic and the energy and the passion that I throw into this type of thing, that may evolve into YouTube, which I also plan on doing, which V has also been trying to get me to do for the longest time.
And you're finally getting on it. I'm so excited for you.
I finally invested in a camera, which was like, okay, really no turning back now. Like, I can't, there's no there's no excuses for me now. It's gonna turn into, like, this overall project of me changing the narrative through my own storytelling, and then allowing other people to have the space, the safe space, giving them the safe space to talk about their experience. And that's basically what the highs and lowdown is going to be about. And I just want to really, really empower people to realize that whatever it is that you're insecure about, it's not, it shouldn't be hindering you from accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. Because if I can do it, if I can come from, you know, ruining my life and destroying all of my relationships at a pretty prime age, like early college, and then having to spend at least 6 years doing undergrad, if not more, from like being in hospitals and stuff like that to treat me for my mental illness. And I can get to a point where I'm now in grad school, halfway through grad school, almost done with it, and also working on building my own brand, and also like, you know, maintaining some sort of job right now in tech. While we talked about how I'm still struggling with the management of it all, I'm still doing it, right? So it's not about the perfection. It's really not. It's about being able to accept that you're on the journey and embracing the fact that you can do it. Like, it's not like you can be 100% you, as long as you're not like a serial killer or a terrorist. Like, in that case, I wouldn't recommend being 100% you. Like, that's just me though. But, or any type of murderer or rapist or that type of thing.
Demonetized.
Yeah. But yeah, I won't be focusing too much on that. While I do love content that's surrounding those things. But who knows what the world can open up for me, you, V, because you've been doing it. Like, you're so inspiring. You just kind of make things happen. It's just, you know, it's just kind of how it's worked. V's always been the one. She's the one who like made this podcast happen.
We're talking about you today.
I know, but I'm obsessed with you.
We'll get to that, and we'll also get to the story of this podcast in the very, very last episode.
Yeah,
so
we will. But yeah, back to me, because I still got a little bit to talk about.
You have a lot to talk about, girl. You've only been talking 10 minutes.
Fine. But yeah, that's like the big thing that's going on in my life right now, is me growing my brand. So yeah, you'll be seeing more of that. And the big thing is that I believe in myself. So I know that alone is going to get me places. A lot of people, I mean, that's how big startups happen, right? You believe in a small idea, and then it turns into this giant one, and then people invest in you, and that's like the thing that happens, right?
One step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. Right now, it just starts with me growing my brand from the ground up. What I realized was that I wasn't doing the right things for my Instagram. While it is like growing slowly, there are a lot of different things that I needed to change, and I'm learning from a professional who's been doing it for a while, kind of the ins and outs of it. She's very good at her job, by the way. Her name is Janice Liu, so I will happily plug her in this episode. I'm part of her pilot, basically. I'm like her first round of proteges, I guess. And she's just such a natural. Again, I'm talking about someone else.
Where can our viewers see your projects when they come out, and get updates on them now?
Right. So my podcast, I submitted to this, to Dan Patrick. He's like a sports podcaster. Very, very, very famous one. He decided to work with iHeartRadio or iHeartMedia, iHeart Entertainment, one of those things. Either way, the one that I applied for was iHeart Podcast. It's called The Next Great Podcast. So I worked really hard in submitting to that contest that I've realized is like, there's like 1,100 people that applied to it too. But I believe in it. I truly believe that if they don't pick me, they're losing out. So whatever the case is, it's just, I really think that my message is really, really important, and that it needs a space. It needs a platform as large as iHeartRadio or iHeart Podcast, whatever, to back it up. But if it doesn't, that's fine. I'll just build it from the ground up, and my passion will drive it. Either way.
I know, maybe we could even get another show on here on the Pull Up a Chair podcast network, and we'll be featured twice. Either way, it's happening. Either way, you're making it happen.
Exactly.
And that's what matters.
Exactly. And I think that I spent a long time not making things happen. And I realized this year that I would have been very, very, very sad if I spent the rest of my life just like not doing the things I wanted to do. So yes, you'll be seeing that fairly soon. I don't have a date for it yet because it's still in the works. I have the mission statement and everything done for it, but it's still in the works.
So the building process.
Yes, I will be traveling pretty soon with my boyfriend, and we'll be to some capacity travel vlogging.
Oh, where can that be found at?
Probably YouTube at some point. Most of this actually will probably be most available at first on my Instagram page because that's the platform that's already existing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just keep an eye on that for now, and I'll update that platform specifically on the changes and stuff. But yeah, I'll probably be sharing in my stories and some posts about like I'm going to Arizona. My boyfriend's already there. We'll be going to Sedona and doing some cool stuff. The mandates over there are a lot less strict, which I'm nervous about a little bit, but it seems to be okay because the numbers in Arizona aren't skyrocketing. They're actually going down. So whatever it is they're doing, it's working. So I'm not so nervous, but I don't know. I think it's really safe to wear masks, but whatever. I'll be going there, and that's kind of like me breaking out of the box. I feel like I've been living in a box for a while. Literally speaking, my apartment's pretty small. I also have been boxing myself in metaphorically in terms of my life goals and what I thought I was capable of. Like I really had a lot of self-esteem and self-worth issues that actually V played a big hand in it the first time around, and having me leave a very, very toxic person who kept reiterating that notion to me that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't good enough or worth anything to any kind of capacity. That person was very, very mean to me. So she helped me get out of that. That was like the big, very, very first step of that. And that happened almost 2 years ago. And now the next person to enter my life that really showed me more of my worth was my current boyfriend. He's just like really, really, really supportive and helpful in terms of helping me get things done and reminding me to stay on track. While yes, I'm like definitely more ambitious and stuff like that, that also means my ideas can get really, really big and crazy really fast. So he helps me rein it all in a little bit.
Which is good because you're only one person with two hands.
Exactly. And then the third person was someone that I invested in, and I think has been just in general been the most like just she has this wealth of knowledge that I have been just admiring from afar. She's actually a pretty big influencer on Instagram. Her handle is Janice Liu, and I've been admiring her and her page as an influencer for a very, very long time. And I did collaborate with her when she was a little smaller, and that was kind of my first experience with her. And then like over the years we've like DM'd pretty small amounts, but this year she decided to launch her own app, and then after that, what's called Om Life Living. After that, she decided to have like a manifestation retreat. We're very woo-woo. I'm part of the yoga community. I am not ashamed of it. But yes, a manifestation retreat that I became a part of, where I just met all these really, really, really inspiring people that have that are also in the same boat as me, where they had big ideas but didn't quite have the ambition or like the self-confidence to do it. And they're all so supportive. And Janice was kind of the catalyst for this thing. And at this point, she wasn't even really talking a whole lot about her coaching program. it was just kind of her testing the waters in terms of being able to hold a space for people. And finally she was like, oh, I'm gonna like start a coaching program. And that was where I was like, you know what, it's time. And it just felt very, very cosmic and perfect in the sense that somebody that I was
cosmic.
I know V's definitely the more grounded person in this duo, which we'll talk about her in the next podcast. But as I'm finishing up about me, this was my opportunity finally to work with Janice, this person that I was like, oh my God, I want to be like her. She just travels and is a really good yoga instructor and just works really, really hard on herself all the time. And you can see it in her posts. And she's also like this gorgeous person. And I had kind of a superhero complex with her where I was like, oh, like I when you're starstruck, that was me.
Yeah.
But as I get to know her more and more, she's like such a grounded, down to earth person who really, really, really wants to help people succeed. And she's becoming more of a mentor and a friend to me. And it's just been this really, really cool evolving journey of being able to kind of work with somebody that I saw myself becoming or really wanted to see myself becoming one day. Not the same person, but like, you know, in terms of being able to accomplish my dreams and things like that. It became this relationship that I finally realized was giving me showing me that there's a possibility for me to go in that route too, is what I'm trying to say.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So she has been helping me a lot. And I've recently just invested in a lot of content creating gear and materials. I watched V do that with her own life. And I was like cheering her on, and I was like, you know, maybe it's my time too. So I invested a lot in these projects that I'm really, really excited to share with you guys very, very soon. So yes, I think that the past 2 to 3 years have been this just eye-opening experience. And I've met 3 very, very, I knew V for a long time, but I became close to her pretty recently. Well, not recently. I say recent, but it's been like 2 years, which I feel like it's compared to the amount of time we've known each other was pretty. We knew each other for much longer than we were close friends.
Yeah,
anyway.
We were distant acquaintances.
Yes, exactly. So those 3 people in my life, and a couple with like my family and stuff like that, but they haven't. While they are supportive, sometimes family just doesn't understand how to support you the right way, especially when you have a mental illness like mine. And I'll talk about that later in my content. It's just like it's really cool to be surrounded by these really, really inspiring and hardworking people. And with that is my current state of the union for Kat's life. And we're going to talk more about V next week.
Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned because we're working on next season and it's going to be great.
Yes, it's going to be amazing. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Patrick.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
And we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.